Okay, so getting back into our coverage over the Thunderbolts, we do pick up with issues number 10, 11, and 12. Now, with these three issues, we're really sitting down and talking about the idea of the secret finally being put out there about who are the Thunderbolts really. Because for the longest time for the public, they had no idea that the Masters of Evil are the Thunderbolts just pretending to be heroes as a way to get whatever they want. But of course, in this story arc, that secret is finally being revealed. And so, of course, this takes the team in a whole brand new direction when it comes to this series. Now, as we get into the opening pages of the storyline, we are given a flashback. Now, with this flashback, really sit down and talk about the past of Atlas here. It's not a lot, but it kind of gives a small glimpse of his past. The idea that he had a younger sister. Now, his younger sister loved the idea of being around her big brother. She looked up to him as a role model. The problem was that he never wanted her around. And so one day he left with his friends and did not bring her along, but she wanted to go. And so she continued to ride her bike around the area to hopefully to find him. Now, unfortunately, she couldn't, but also she was hit by a car and then she died that same night. And so for Atlas, that right there kind of began the whole idea of him going down a dark path. But now it's him kind of going onto a new path. Because again, for me personally, the whole idea of that flashback was to say like, hey, let's not forget that these heroes or these characters were villains pretending to be heroes to help out Baron Zemo to take over the world. But now they are trying their best to become heroes because they love the idea of being heroes. Now, with all that being said, when it comes to Fixer or Techno, he does inform Baron Zemo, Citizen V, that they are ready. And then you have Dallas walk into the room and say, hey guys, are you ready? Now, guys, when it comes to Dallas, she is a liaison that works for the mayor's office. Now, issue number 10 is really important because it does pick up after the storyline better known as Heroes Return. Now, Heroes Return was this massive storyline that brought the heroes back into the main Marvel universe. And let me explain why. Because back in X-Men Avengers Onslaught, you had the Avengers and the Fantastic Four run into Onslaught, this powerful character, and they all just disappeared. Now, for the public, they believe that those heroes had officially died. But in reality, those heroes were just pushed into a brand new reality, better known as Heroes Reborn. Now, while they were gone, for Baron Zemo, he saw this as the perfect opportunity to begin his new plan. The idea of the Thunderbolts. Why not go ahead, get some old friends, come together, and pretend to be heroes to then begin the process of trying to find a new way to take over the world. And so, with all that being said, when it came to Heroes Return, those heroes finally came back over to the main Marvel universe. But with them coming back, you still have the mayor saying, even though they're back now, we still want to sit here and celebrate the idea of the Thunderbolts because what they have done for the city. They had a great job in protecting us. Now, with all that being said, while you do have this news conference going on, everyone's having a good old time and everything, that's when S.H.I.E.L.D. just bust through the wall. And the reason why? Because someone had revealed a big secret. Somebody told S.H.I.E.L.D. that Baron Zemo and the rest of his good old masters of evil are the Thunderbolts in disguise. And so you have S.H.I.E.L.D. try their best to bring them down. Now, Baron Zemo, apparently Homeboy was prepared because he tells Techno to go ahead and release an EMP. So just like that, all S.H.I.E.L.D. tech can no longer be used in this battle. But you also have him say, you know what, guys? We got to leave. So you now have our heroes begin the process of leaving. Now, one character, she does not leave at first, and that would be Jolt. Because for Jolt, she had no idea that she had joined the Masters of Evil who were pretending to be heroes. Because for her, she believed the Thunderbolts were just a good group of people, and that was really it. And so now she realized that she has been tricked. Now for S.H.I.E.L.D., they want to arrest her, but of course she's like, no, I have to leave and get some answers. Now for Dallas, the liaison, she was dating Atlas. And so she's kind of like, whoa, what just happened? Are you telling me that I was dating a bad guy? Like, a lot of things are happening all at once here. Now, we do get a small battle between Meteorite and also Hawkeye. Now, for Meteorite, she's like, listen, I'm not here to battle against you, Hawkeye. And so she's able to get away. But this is also her saying maybe, just maybe, she should just go ahead and walk away from everything and not even try to regroup with the rest of the team at all and let them face all the different things that come down the road. And so she just disappears. Now we do switch over to Mach 1 and also Songbird. Now for those two characters, they're right now trying to get away. The problem is that for Mach 1, his whole entire system must reboot. And the reason why, because when it came to Techno releasing that EMP, it shut down Mach 1's armor suit. So right now it's rebooting. And thankfully it gets done in time because Songbird and Mach 1, they were surrounded by a crowd of people. Now, I want to go ahead and switch over to Jolt again because with Jolt right now, she's trying her best to move through the city without anybody noticing her, but she also sees the news. And it's right now the news reporting everything about the masters of evil who were pretending to be heroes. And matter of fact, they bring up the fact that when it came to the masters of evil, they had blew up Avengers Mansion in the past. And so for Jolt right now, it's her having a hard time believing that she joined that team. She lived with them. She looked up to them. And now she realized that one, she has been tricked, but two, they were just a group of super villains. Now we do switch over to For Freedom Plaza, and the reason why, because that base used to belong to the Fantastic Four, but when they had disappeared and you didn't have the Thunderbolts go out of their way to protect the city, the mayor gave them that place to live. And so you have all these different heroes heading over there to get rid of the Thunderbolts. Now we do see Meteorite being able to rejoin the team, grab Atlas, and get inside the building. But the question is right now, like, who in the world told the public about them? Who told them that they were the masters of evil? So we come to find out that it was Baron Zemo. Now, the reason why you have Baron Zemo go out of his way to tell the public about them being the masters of evil is because he hated the idea of seeing the rest of the team loving the idea of being heroes. He's kind of like, hold up, y'all were not supposed to fall in love with the idea of being heroes. Got to stop that right now. Now, he also accuses Meteorite for using her skills as a therapist to kind of push the folks' thoughts into believing that the best way to live is to become heroes. He says, you were trying to use them against me, but that's okay because I told the public the truth and now the whole plan is not completely ruined, but now you guys can no longer be heroes and continue to help me. So guys, right now you have to decide to help me or go ahead and leave. Now, of course, you do have the rest of the team go ahead and agree to go with Baron Zemo. Now, Jolt, she's hiding inside the vent because, again, she couldn't believe that she had joined this team, lived with this team, looked up to this team. But for Jolt, she wanted to see if there is a possibility of them actually being good. But then she sees the rest of the team go ahead and leave with Baron Zemo. Now we do see a jet leave the plaza, and so we're kind of left to believe at first that it's the Thunderbolts right now trying to escape. But then it blows up. And so for the real heroes like Spider-Man or Daredevil, New Warriors, they're like, oh my gosh, they were trying to escape and then blew up. They just killed themselves. But in reality, it was a ruse, a distraction to allow Baron Zemo and the rest of his crew to get away and begin his real plan. Now, as we switch over to Thunderbolts issue number 11, we really get into the idea of seeing like different military forces from around the world beginning to take over their own countries. So not just Central America countries or Europe or even like Africa countries, even in America as well. Now, for some countries, it's not an official like complete takeover. Like you have some countries where their military forces only took over like some towns here and there. Like for example, America, you have like Las Vegas right now be taken over, or like New York. But either way, you have more and more military forces going out of their way to take over their countries. Now, we do switch over to the Thunderbolts now. And when it comes to the Thunderbolts, we do learn that they're no longer on Earth. Yeah, you heard that right. They're, matter of fact, they're in space on a satellite base that was left behind by AIM when it was stopped by one of the heroes in the past. Now, with all that being said, when it comes to the Thunderbolts right now, they're on this satellite and they're watching over the world. Now, we do see most of the members of the team right now kind of wondering like, should they possibly find a way to stop Zemo or should go along with his plan? So they're kind of going back and forth at the moment. But here's the question right now. How did Baron Zemo pull everything off? How was he able to get the militaries around the world to begin to take over different countries around the world? Real quick, we see that Techno and Baron Zemo, the only two characters who love the idea of being villains still. Now for Techno, guys, remember, he died in our last video, but he had uploaded his mind into a robot body. So he truly is Techno. Yeah, that was my joke right there. Anyways, when it comes to Techno and also Baron Zemo, what they did was once they got access from the Avengers files, they were then able to upload this signal to all different military computers around the world. So then when different people would go to their computer screens and look at it, they would get hit with some kind of signal that would then take their minds over and force them to work for Baron Zemo and also for Techno. And of course, trick other people to also see the same computer screens, to also be taken over by Baron Zemo and also Techno. So just like that, they were officially taken over. And that's how you have all these different military forces taking over different countries around the world. Learn all that information there, we then see Baron Zemo begin to speak to all the different countries around the world. Now, again, you do have some countries out there that still have the ability to use their weapons that has not been taken over by their militaries just yet. And so you have some countries right now trying their best to locate Baron Zemo in the Thunderbolts, but the problem is they can't do it. Techno made sure it would be almost impossible to get them tracked. And so you have missiles just flying everywhere, but of course, they don't go anywhere near the Thunderbolts at all. Now for Atlas, he is this middle piece, and you'll see what I mean here in a moment, because for Atlas, he does call Dallas, and Dallas being that liaison works for the mayor, well, she's kind of like, hey dude, I'm mad at you, because in the last few story arcs, you had Dallas and Atlas really begin a relationship with one another, and unfortunately, she found out that her new boyfriend is really a supervillain, and so she's kind of wondering like, hey, did you really love me or not? But at the same time, they're telling her at the mayor's office, keep the phone call going, because they're right now trying to track him and figure out where the villains are hiding out at. And now for Baron Zemo and Techno, they cut the call short so that they couldn't be tracked. Now, this leads into the conversation. The conversation is really more of us seeing like the different members of the team who are really kind of wondering what should they do here. So minus Techno and also Baron Zemo, because for Mach 1, for example, even though there's an offer for him to have part of the world under his control, he's kind of like, I don't know if I truly do love the idea of ruling part of the world. It's him saying that he kind of wonders if he loves the idea of being a hero. Now, you do have Jolt appear. Now, when Jolt does appear, it's really important because she was kind of like their little sister, their daughter. And so for her, she felt betrayed. But over time, while hiding on the base, she overheard the conversation. She overheard how different people on the team are not truly loving the idea of Baron Zemo being the ruler of the world, or helping him achieve that goal. And so it's her saying like, guys, you're still kind of acting like heroes. It's inside of you. So why not go ahead and be what you truly want to be? But like I said earlier, when it comes to Atlas, he was that middle piece, right? Like, what do you mean, Fresh? Because we saw earlier for Atlas, it did seem like he wanted to be with Dallas. But to achieve that, he has to be a hero. But when Baron Zemo walks into the room and command Atlas to join his side, just like that, Atlas goes. Because Atlas is a good soldier boy. And so when it comes to the rest of the team right now, they're kind of like, Atlas, how dare you? How dare you join his side? Oh, by the way, guys, real quick, reason why I said soldier boy, because, well, for Baron Zemo, he actually says good soldier in the actual line. It's not even saying like anything negative towards the military. But either way, when it comes to Atlas joining Baron Zemo's side, it's now him saying, you other people have chose your side. You guys are trying to stop me. So you know what? Atlas, Techno, and me are going to kill you. And so this leads into a big battle between both parties. Now, the battle does end on one heck of a note because then have the Avengers arrive. You're like, oh shoot, the Avengers are here. Really, it's not just the Avengers. You also have the Fantastic Four there as well. But again, it's kind of like, okay, so Thunderbolts, you have lost the battle. You got the Avengers, Fantastic Four, you can't win. But you didn't have Baron Zemo say, technically, I use the same thing I use on the military forces to control the minds of the Avengers and also the Fantastic Four. So the Earth's mightiest heroes are now on the side of Baron Zemo and now getting ready to battle against the good guys of the Thunderbolts. Now, as we do switch into the final chapter of the storyline, we're really getting into the idea of seeing the Thunderbolts fighting against the Avengers and also the Fantastic Four. Now, while fighting against these two other parties, we also kind of see that for the Thunderbolts, they're technically able to hold their own, but just barely. But here's the reason why, because while they're fighting against our heroes, it does seem like right now the Avengers or the Fantastic Four, they're not really fighting at full strength. And so it does allow the Thunderbolts to be able to kind of fight back, but also get away and get into a spacecraft to get the heck out of there. Now, you also book say that possibly because they're being mind controlled, they're not really able to think for themselves and be able to use their powers in the right way to bring them down. But either way, for our heroes, they're able to escape with a spaceship. Now, while they're leaving, we also have to remember that for Techno, he had uploaded his mind into a techno body or a robot body, sorry. But also now he has complete control over the satellite that Baron Zemo was using. And so with them having complete control over that satellite, he's able to morph it any kind of way he wants it to. Now that right there becomes very important in the last few parts of this storyline. Now, for the Thunderbolts, they're not really able to go back to Earth because with the Earth almost being completely controlled by Baron Zemo, they won't last that long out there. Now, luckily for our heroes, Mach 1 knows somewhere else it can go to. And of course, is another space station that's nearby. Now, the space station, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of it because if I do, I am going to butcher it. And so just know that the space station was used in the past in earlier Avengers storylines. But once they do arrive at a space station, they're then confronted by Iron Man. Now, this makes a lot of sense. And the reason why, because for Iron Man, he had made sure that his suit would protect him from the idea of being mind controlled from anybody any kind of way. And so for Iron Man, earlier in that battle, he pretended that he was mind controlled, but then being able to sneak away and then follow our heroes over to the space station. Now, when it comes to Iron Man, he wants to work with the heroes as a way to bring down Baron Zemo, but also bring down Techno as well. But the problem is right now, how can they pull it off? Now, for Mach 1, he does give us a callback to an earlier storyline we actually covered back in Spider-Man Team Up issue number 7, where you had Thunderbolts fight against Spider-Man. But in that storyline, you have most of the team get mind controlled the same way as the heroes are right now in this storyline. And so for Mach 1, his main goal is to build something to block that signal, to allow our heroes to go back to normal. But the problem is, once that's done right there, what about the rest of the world? Well, then they have to find a device that's currently being used as a way to control all the minds of the people back on Earth. Now, for Jolt, she does have a plan here. Now, before we learn like what is Jolt plan, I do want to bring up one thing. Oh my God, I just realized I forgot. Okay, so when it comes to Atlas and his storyline, he had actually switched sides back over to the rest of the Thunderbolts. And the reason why, because when it came to Baron Zemo, he was about to kill off Jolt. And this right here is the perfect timing to talk about why he is so motivated now to be a hero. Because for Mach 1, we already know why. He loves the idea of being a hero because in an earlier storyline, we saw him fight alongside with Spider-Man, somebody he used to fight against so many times over the years. But now being a hero alongside with Peter Parker, he's kind of like, you know what? I love being a hero. But for Atlas, it was different because he looks at Jolt as a little sister. Remember, at the very beginning of this video, we got that flashback. The idea of Atlas' little sister dying many years ago. And so when it came to Baron Zemo wanting to kill off Jolt, somebody that Atlas looks at as a little sister, he had no choice but to go out of his way to protect her. I can't believe I forgot to tell you guys that. Now, I do want to go ahead and switch over to Baron Zemo and also Captain America, because for Baron Zemo, that is a Steve Rogers villain. So to have Steve Rogers mind controlled to do almost whatever he wants Steve Rogers to do, he's kind of like, man, I can go ahead and kill you off right now because I hate you. I've been hating you my entire life. But then out of nowhere, you had a Thunderbolts and also Iron Man just crash into the space station. But this kind of leads us into learning what is Jolt's plan here. Like, what is her actual plan? And guys, it's a good plan here because once you do have our heroes crash into the space station, you then have Mach 1 use his device to block the bio modem. Now that device right there is what's mind controlling the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the people of Earth as well. But with Mach 1's device, the Avengers, Fantastic Four, they're no longer being mind controlled. But right now they're confused. They're like, what in the world? How in the world did we get here? Oh wait, Thunderbolts, we gotta bring them down. Now while you have the Avengers, Fantastic Four, trying their best to bring down Thunderbolts, as that battle goes on, Techno gets involved because he also wants to bring them down as well. But now he is distracted. And with him being distracted, it allows Jolt to look around for the bio modem to hopefully destroy it to save the world. Except when she walks into a room, Jolt learns that basically the bio modem has been moved somewhere else. Now, when it comes to Meteorite, oh my gosh, I love this moment because for Meteorite, she beats down on Baron Zemo because Baron Zemo, when he brought her into team, her main goal was to be a therapist for the team, the psychologist, to make sure the team stays on the right path that Baron Zemo had laid out. But over time, when it came to Meteorite, she also began to love the idea of being a hero somewhat, but also kind of looked at Jolt as a little sister or possibly a daughter to her. And so over time, she's going to use her skills as a way to lead the people into wanting to become heroes. And for Baron Zemo, he realized that she was trying to go against him in a way. And so for her, she beats him down. I mean, she beats him down badly. But you didn't have Techno appear to go ahead and say, like, your plan is not going to work. You guys try to distract me long enough to find the biomodem. But again, the entire satellite is under my control. I can morph it any kind of way I want to, but also the biomodem is constantly being moved. Well, you didn't have Meteorite use her skills as a therapist to play mind games on Techno. And this works out beautifully because when it comes to Techno, you have her say at first, like, hey, let's Techno, I know you. Like, you want to touch a woman. You want to be with a girl, and you never have been. So why not me? Now, for Techno, at first, that's not working. But she continues on by saying, like, you know what? Even if Baron Zemo wins, you know what's going to happen right now? They're going to look at you as his lackey, his sidekick, not his partner, not his best bud. lackey, sidekick, worthless. And that line right there bothers Techno a lot because for Techno, he did most of the work here to allow Baron Zemo the chance to take over the world. But again, while he's had this conversation, really argument now with Meteorite, for Mr. Fantastic, he realized what's happening right now. Techno is distracted. And so you didn't have the different heroes being able to work together to destroy where the biomotive is at. With that happening right there, everyone on Earth is no longer being mind controlled. But also, the satellite right now is about to blow up. And so you have all the heroes being able to escape. Now, Techno kind of left to believe in the possibility that he died. But for Baron Zemo, for Atlas, he said, listen, Baron Zemo, you saved my life in the past once. This is me right now paying you back. But do not expect me to help you again in the future. So Baron Zemo is also able to escape the explosion. But this kind of leads into the big question like, okay, what do you do with the Thunderbolts? Because they are technically criminals. They did some bad things. They helped Baron Zemo pull this off. They got to go, right? And so you didn't have, Steve Rogers say like, hey, if y'all gonna act like heroes, then you would not mind the idea of being put on trial for the crimes that you had committed. And they were like, yeah, you know what? Fine. The problem is that out of nowhere, they're teleported away just like that. It's like, wait, where in the world did they go to? And so this leads us into the next story arc we have to cover in the next video. With that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.